Today I'd like to talk about Pulitzer Prize winning author Richard Ford and whether he is the true heir to Ernest Hemingway. Now, Ernest Hemingway needs no introduction, but he's a writer that some people have called a minimalist because there was a focus on this kind of concrete sentences, always picking exactly the right word, being very sparse. Yet, in his later work, like For Whom the Bell Tolls, the writing becomes very rich, almost experimental, and you can't really say that he's a minimalist anymore. And that's why there's some fair comparison with Richard Ford, because Richard Ford, in some of his shorter fiction, does write in a very sparse manner, very crisp, very clear, short sentences, yet later in his career, in some of his longer works, you get these long spiraling sentences, and his novels become, well, kind of like the psychological novels of Henry James, like The Turn of the Screw, which uses these long sentences. And I want to give you an example. In Rock Springs, a beautiful, beautiful collection of short stories. There's a character, Vic, who's been cheating on his girlfriend, and there are some bikers who live, in the house next door or the trailer park next door, and they know about it, and they think he's a slime bag, and they phone him up. It's a prank, and he answers the phone, and Vic, the voice said again. Sim somehow sensed it wasn't George, though it could have been. And in this same instant, he realized that he had no earthly idea who it was or could be, but that it wasn't good. And in the silence that followed his own name, the feeling of a vast outside world opened up to him and scared him, so that he looked up beside the wall phone and stared at his own phone number, 876-8076. This was somebody calling from far away. And the voice goes on to say, we're going to kill Marge. If you let her out of your sight anywhere, we're waiting for her. The devil needs Marge. And it goes on to say, this is the devil calling. The voice said, everyone's a loser today. Very, very haunting prose. You couldn't say it was minimalist at all. In fact, it's maximalist, because he takes this small moment of this guy on the telephone. Suddenly, he doesn't know who it is that's calling him, but it's really creepy. And he expands this moment into a vast universe, such that that little moment becomes a summation of who that person is, how empty he is, how corrupted he is inside, and how totally lost he is in the universe. And so that's why Richard Ford really isn't a minimalist at all. He's a maximalist. He takes a moment and then expands it almost like into fractal complexity. And that's why he was a huge influence on my own writing, an absolutely enormous influence on my own writing. And to the point that I wouldn't release a novel until the prose was as good as Richard Ford's, in my opinion. And my new novel, The Orphean, just came out a couple weeks ago. It's about a day in the life of a men's fashion and fragrance influencer on his way to meet his estranged daughter, and all of the weird things that happen in the world around him as his reality crumbles around him. But in exactly the same way, there is this focus where a little moment is expanded into a vast universe, and there's long, elegant sentences which are very precise. See, so that's why I want to say that Richard Ford really is the true heir to Hemingway, in the sense that novels like For Whom the Bell Tolls aren't really minimalist at all. It's like a canvas of the entire universe compressed into a single novel, and Richard Ford has that same talent. So I encourage you to check Ford out. I know he's mostly known for the Frank Bascombe trilogy, for whom Independence Day was the second one, and he won the Pulitzer Prize for that. But I think his shorter fiction is even better. So anyway, what are your favorite Richard Ford novels? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you for listening, and I hope to see you again.